Hey guys, I wanted to hop on today to discuss the collective energy and how January and the first half of February was not an indicator of how things are going to go, because as of this full moon in Aquarius, things are ramping up. And what we got a taste of these last few days is what it's going to be like for the remaining time in 2025. And what needs to be clear to you is that we are in, we have been in different timelines, but like definitively the lines are drawn between, I would say, two or three major timelines. And some people have chosen a certain timeline, whereas others have chosen a different one. And it's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it just is what it is. With that said, it means that you'll be coexisting in your own frequency while being in an environment where there are people on a totally different frequency and arguably a lower frequency. So that means that you'll have to make peace and make do with the circumstances that you'll be in while trying to remain at a higher vibration and a higher frequency. With that said, it does feel as if this lower frequency has a lot more subscribers to it. And they are intent on pulling you down with them. And so you cannot afford to be burdened by those people who are existing in this lower frequency, because there are more of them. And it's why it's becoming more obvious that there are more of them and that they are showing up in our lives more frequently, is because there's so much light still coming in and being shone on the planet. That's a given. Since COVID, we can all say that a lot of the darkness and the shadow is being brought to the forefront for a reason. And so it might even feel to you as it's like, why is there so much negativity around me? And it's probably always been there, but you're being shown in a different way, and more people are choosing to blatantly exist in a lower frequency. And so the more people there are who exist in this frequency, the more often that you'll encounter it. With that said, spring is just about upon us, and I hope you have been using the colder months, if you're in the northern hemisphere, to recuperate. And if you are in the southern hemisphere, I hope you were charged up enough and enjoying literally the sun and its gifts enough so that you have an arsenal with you as you go into hibernation, as you take some rest. If you're in the northern hemisphere, you are likely well rested and kind of gearing up for what's about to transpire. And again, these things, as much as we do exist in a spiritual warfare of sorts, it's like difficult to say that, these things are good and bad. Yes, there are certain things that are blatantly good and bad, but ultimately it is energy, right? And its association with good or bad has more to do with the human experience than anything else. But that's not to take away from the fact that there are negative entities that whisper in one's ear and, try to steer this and try to control that. And so your job is to always be rooted in your authenticity. That is Someone who I was watching said that self-love has a lot more to do with authenticity as opposed to like self-care Sunday. And yeah, those things are worthwhile and worthy of your time, but the true foundation of self-love is in authenticity, and in your authenticity is where you will find your sovereignty. Especially as you start to see multiple people around you kind of crash out. It has never been more important to be rooted in your sovereignty. I feel like as well, we're in a time where everything is so charged, both politically and there's a great need to define, and if we define things, we are dividing almost organically. And if you're in your true sovereignty, you will be in a space where you're also quite neutral. Again, where things are blatantly wrong or evil or dark and light, etc., it's a no-brainer. It should go without saying. But in a space where there are many arguments and there is no black and white, because you're inclined to bring in a lot of light, it's important for you to stay neutral so that your light can touch those who have opinions that are all over the place. It's also important to remember those boundaries. Please remember your boundaries. Please stick to them. Stick to your boundaries. Don't allow the energy vampires to trample over you in their search for relevance, in their search for allegiance. Because people can have whatever opinions they have, but there's an element of being so determined to reinforce it amongst others. It's like, why can't you have your position and allow others to? And you see it in every kind of dynamic. The relationship between parents and children, siblings, those with authority, those without authority. Everyone is trying to, everyone who is on that timeline, that is the timeline I wouldn't want to be on necessarily, but again, it's not necessarily bad. It just is an experience that a certain collective has chosen. Everyone who is on that strange timeline seems to want to exert control. It's not even about spreading their policies or like their positions. It's about ensuring that you follow them. Right? So it's like looking for a following. Because if you have a following, you're justified in your belief system and your limited self-beliefs and your fears. I wanted to pull some cards. Just anything that is worthwhile that you might need to hear as we go into the next kind of phase of 2025 that is really going to put a lot of us to the test. And that's why I keep saying, your boundaries have to be A1. Otherwise, you will suffer for it. Okay, so we get the 8 of Pentacles, 10 of Cups, 2 of Wands, Page of Cups. Cups, Pentacles, Wands. 8 of Pentacles coming out. Right? Shifting that focus, like I said. Shifting the focus as we move into a different season. And the emotional fulfillment that one collective will find, as opposed to the other collective that is still kind of yearning, searching, looking for an allegiance, not quite sure of themselves. And Page of Cups representing how odd this year will be. It feels like a very long year. I mean, it's only mid-February. It feels like we should be in April by now. So there's a lag as well in terms of time. I just thought I'd hop on to remind you that it is okay that you're on a different timeline. And, even if you don't get the respect of your journey, it doesn't hurt to still be respectful of others.